Diva Lyri in the house representing Halo. Yes, yes, yes. All my TikTok people, all my YouTube people, Halo. Yes, 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 yes. Q&A. Yeah, welcome everybody, welcome everybody, welcome. I'm yours truly, Diva Lyri, representing UNA University and UNA Republic. Welcome. We got a topic tonight, all right? So tonight's topic, first of all, before I just be ready to jump into it, all my people on TikTok, welcome. Thank you so much for liking and sharing. I've gotten a lot of great comments, and I want y'all to know I see you, I appreciate you, I thank you, I love you too. Also, my people on TikTok, thank you so much for joining. Please leave comments in the comments section. All right, like and share and subscribe. I had Genesis is supposed to be in the house. A couple of people have been waiting on this session. Thank you all for your patience. Let's get into it. So now, tonight's session is titled Atheists versus Christians, okay? Genesis, welcome. Halo. All my people in TikTok, welcome. Positivity, yes you are. Positivity 100. Also, we are streaming on X and Twitter. Well, excuse me, X was Twitter, but Twitch is what I was trying to say. X and Twitch. So I want you all to find us there. Those of y'all, please note we are streaming on YouTube and TikTok, X, and possibly Twitch. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but we streaming. So you can find us on all of those platforms under UNA Republic. Let's go. But before I get into that, y'all know, you all have to know about the book. So I want you all to find the UNA Beginner Law book. You can find this on UNAuniversity.com. Now, you could either get the physical copy or you can get the ebook copy. Now, the physical copy comes with these wonderful, wonderful inserts, all right? Universal Laws is one of those inserts. It comes with the hierarchy of laws, okay? It also comes with the vibratory frequency chart as well as the societal totem pole and the civilization cycle. These are very powerful tools. We give you these extras because we want you to put them up, all right? On your windows, on your mirrors, on your refrigerator, so that these laws can become a part of you. Inside of here is the laws of Maxim. So if you're interested in this book, find it on UNAuniversity.com, okay? Also, the membership trust package that comes with your trust documents, your membership badge, and a load of your ID, okay? Also, it comes with an education. You got to have the education. That's one of the most powerful parts of this, as well as we're going to put them on record for you, all right? So, TikTok people, X people, name, number, email in the inbox. Name, number, email in the inbox. We're going to get to you and make sure that we give you an invite to our workshop. Everybody else, find us at UNAuniversity.com and let's go. Okay, so we're talking today about atheists versus Christians. So this topic is coming from some videos that I saw by, and I'm not going to put it up right now. Just hold on for a second before you put it up. Videos coming from, don't put it up yet. One second. So I gotta mute this. So now, real quick, this is coming from the Book Ministries. By the Book Ministries is the name of the channel. And so there's an interview with this woman by the name of Ayan Hersey, or Heresy, I'm gonna say Heresy. But she is a woman who was formerly an atheist, and she actually toured and traveled speaking out against religion, all right? In particular, Christianity. She used to mock Christianity, okay? And so I want to go into some things because there was her speaking, and then the person or the guy whose site this is or whose channel this is that was speaking on it. So I want to go into that, and I kind of want to give you some insight as someone who's been on both sides, who has dealt with both sides, the atheists as well as Christians. And I want to talk about my path and as well as my spiritual journey. So we're going to put the links in the bio or the description so that you can go and see these videos in their full length. But what I want to do, again, it's this conversation or this topic is spawned from these particular videos that I found on this channel, once again called By the Book Ministries. Now, I want to start off with this because I want to go into some things that I dealt with. I spoke a little bit about my journey, my spiritual journey, a couple of sessions ago, and I talked about how I left the country or whatever, and I was doing a lot of studying. Well, in my studies, what I had found was the lie of religion. So let me go back to my childhood. Just like most of people, especially melanated people, we grew up in the church. All right. I was in church all the time, every day, Bible study, because my mother would teach that. She'd be actually the coordinator of the Bible study, and she was excited about it. This was her thing. Church was always her thing. And I remember asking her once, as I got older, I said, well, why is it that church is so big for you? I just want to know about her. And she said, well, the way we grew up was that if you were in church, regardless of how much money you had, regardless of, who you were, where you lived, where you came from, what your status was, you were somebody. That was her explanation, my mother's explanation to me. As long as you were in the church, she says, you were considered to be somebody. And so that was really interesting. But one of the things that I remember growing up in church is that, there were these people who would call themselves Christians. And honestly, what I saw in the church, and it wasn't just the church I grew up in, it was other churches too, is I saw a lot of mess. I saw people doing things. I saw their attitudes. I saw fighting. I saw bickering. I saw cheating. Like people, this one's sleeping with that one, and that one's sleeping with, and I shouldn't have been hearing that, especially as young as I was at the time. So I was hearing a lot of things going on in the church. And I remember thinking to myself, if this is what a Christian is, I don't want no parts of it. That's what I remember. And for me, I've never been religious, but I have always been spiritual. And I definitely believed in God. And one of the things that I used to do is I pray. Before I went to bed, I'm praying. And then before I wake up, or once I wake up rather, I was praying. And I'm praying to God. And now I lay me down and sleep. I pray to the Lord because it was y'all know the prayer. And so that was my spiritualness. Now, when it came to the Bible, I did not believe in that Bible. I never, as a matter of fact, I had a great deal of disdain for the book. And so I'm just being honest with you about, even as a child, I remember some things that I did and said, but I had a great deal of disdain for whatever reason for the book. But I was steadfast on, I believe in God. God is real. I had this connection, so I thought. But then that's why I would, as I grew older, saying my prayers at night and in the morning, that's what I had to do. Now, I told you that I started asking a lot of questions, especially around the time of the housing crisis. And I was like, something is not right. But that was just on the political side. All right. That was just where it was like, well, why? Or the financial side. What is going on with the finances? And the more I dug, the more I realized that there was, fraud in the whole industry. And then when it was, for me, it was like, well, how do we fix it? And then the more I dug deeper, I realized that people are purposely making it fraudulent, like this thing. So I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I'm just a regular person who voted. As a matter of fact, I remember voting for Barack Obama in that first term. So I didn't know any of this stuff I speak about when it comes to law. Okay. So, but I'm digging, and the more I dug, the more I'm starting to see the sheer corruption first of all, it just started with the corruption in the society. All right, as far as in the financial sector. Okay, so that was one of the things I found. Then I started to dig deeper, and I remember somebody showed me this movie, Zeitgeist, and it was just it was hard to take. And again, I just hired somebody, and I appreciate the hire because she has to learn this information in order to work for the organization. But I appreciate that hire because as I was telling her the information, it was jarring, it was upsetting to her, and it helped me to remember all of the emotions that I had to go through when learning this information. It's not easy. All right. So, I'm speaking on this. Again, the topic, thank you guys for joining, is atheists versus Christians. All right. And so, again, as I'm going through this, I watched that movie, and then everything, all kind of information started coming to me about what's going on, not only in the financial sector with the so-called government, which is, I had found out, was a part of the whole crisis. They were behind it. Okay, so as I went through, and I'm starting to recognize and learn, this whole thing about what's going on, the spiritual side started coming up. All right. Religion, which I had always knew was a lie, but I didn't know the full details of what it was. Again, I grew up in the church, and then my mother went on to become a pastor. So did my father. That's another story. I ain't talking about that today. But what I'm saying to you is, I always knew there was something missing in this thing that we call religion. That's why I had a problem fully accepting it. I didn't know what it was. All right. So I go through, and then I'm just learning. Listen, I'm learning things about it doesn't matter what it could be, financial parts, or it could be science. It always led me back to the Bible. Now, this was a book that in my mind, I'm saying, I'm not reading it. I don't care what's in it. I'm not reading it. And I was steadfast on that. And again, I was not an atheist, but I surely wasn't claiming Christianity. All right. And then the more I learned about religion, then I started learning about the history of this planet, the history of this land, the history of the woman, and the fact that what religion is and where it came from and how the woman has been subjugated, and all of those scriptures. See, we just know about the Bible, but those scriptures, they come from women. But we don't know that. Okay. So as I'm starting to really, and actually before I get to that point, because I didn't know about women when I made this decision to go into atheism. All right. So let me explain what happened with that and why I ended up moving into that. So I'm doing all of this studying, and I keep I'm trying to figure out, why is this happening? And then, when I kept seeing that, those videos about the children in Africa. And again, I'm thinking, I'm from Africa, and those are people, and why they suffer? And because you see the commercial, in the arms of an angel, fly away. why would a God allow them to suffer and then not allow us to suffer? No, what, or allow us to thrive or what have you. So this is going on in my mind, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then the more I, just research and study, and it's like, when it says God loves everybody in the Bible, and this God of love, and again, I keep looking at what's going on in the world, and it's like, where's this God that is of love? It didn't make sense to me. And so it was at that time, it was around that time where I just decided, okay, that's enough. That's enough of this. And I cut the spiritual side off. And let me explain the spiritual side, because we all have a conversation with Source. Now, if you don't, then check yourself, because there is a source that you speak to within, or the voice. That's where that whole show comes from, the voice. Well, that's really talking about the voice within. So there's a voice within you that all of us speak to, and I would speak to that voice. And so it was interesting, because by this time I had owned several businesses, and at that time when I just went into the whole atheist and just cut spirit off and all that, I didn't know what I was doing. But I was a loner. I was always a loner, but I never felt alone. Never. I do all kind of stuff and build stuff and go places, and it was never an issue, because I never felt alone, because I had Source or spirit, and I didn't understand what that was. So when I just decided, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not praying anymore. Don't be talking to whatever that is, that voice. You need to, don't, I'm not talking to you no more, because this doesn't make any sense. And so I cut that off. I stopped doing that. I stopped praying, mourning, all that went away. And that was the first time in my life that I had ever felt alone. That's the first time. And I would cry myself to sleep, because I felt as though I had cut off my best friend. And that's exactly what I had done. But I didn't understand Source or spirit or any of this stuff that I'm speaking about. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was. And so I ended up joining this atheist group. And what was so interesting is, in that group, there was a spectrum. Either they were highly intelligent and seeking answers, or they were incredibly unintelligent and they were unhappy, sad, and mad. In this group, there was this whole spectrum. And in that group, I learned some of everything, because again, there were these people who were really searching for truth. So for me, I had found, that religion is a lie. And I still say that, all religions, and I'm going to tell you why I say that. But I had found that religion is a lie and has been lying to us. And when we're talking about preachers and pastors, they know things that it is their responsibility to tell the people that they never tell. This is why they take Hippocratic oaths, because their purpose is to keep the full truth from the people. So in religion, it tells you some of the spiritual side, but it never goes into the full understanding of what's really going on in this dimension. All right, so you got a pastor. Most of your pastors are going to be a part of some kind of secret society. You won't know it, but they're involved in some kind of secret society, especially if they're marrying somebody and they say up in that pulpit, by the powers vested in me, by the state of such and such and such, they're telling you. They already told you, by the state of, by the powers vested in you, by the state. They already told you who they were, but I'm not going into that. That's a whole nother story. My bottom line is that a lot of lies have been told to us when it comes to religion. And so what I had to do, or what I ended up doing, is just doing a lot of studying and searching and trying to understand what was going on. All right. So I ended up in this group, and really, I'm really digging on all of this information being put into the group. So I talked about science, I talked about law. That came from being in that group where I found out about commerce and things like that. When it came to UFOs, I got that in that group. All kind of information I got in that group, because these were some of these. You got that other spectrum over there. I'm gonna get on them. But this group that was searching, and they might be called agnostics, they want to know what the truth was. Okay, so one of the things is, when I would get this information, I would dig deeper. So my whole thing, I'm more of a researcher. I didn't realize that's what I was, but turns out that's what I am. And so when they would put something in the group, I'm taking this information and I'm digging into it. I'm dissecting. When I go into things like monoatomic gold, because monoatomic gold is a product that helps your cells to repair themselves. Okay, that's what monoatomic gold is. Now, how come this comes into this group, and then I go and look it up, and where does it lead me back to? The Bible. I find something in the group talking about how the United States gave fake gold to China. All right, how come I go and look this up and I'm digging through it, and then it leads me back to the Bible? It happened with science, lead me right back to the Bible. It happened with even UFOs. I'm digging into UFOs. What is this? Where is this? When have we had happenings? When have we seen these things appear and appearances? Okay, so I'm doing my research, and it takes me back to the Bible. So you might be saying, well, how does that take you back to the Bible? You remember Jacob's ladder? And they would sing about that in church. We are climbing Jacob. Okay, that. And the other one, Ezekiel. Ezekiel saw the wheel way up in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel way in the middle of the air. And the big wheel runs by faith, and the little wheel runs by the faith of God. It's a wheel when a wheel way in the middle of the air. That is a UFO appearance. So what I'm saying is, there are all these things that I'm learning about, and they keep leading me back to the Bible. But again, I'm in this group, this atheist group, and guess what the name of the atheist group is? It was called ARC, A-R-C, for Anti-Religious Chat Room. That's really interesting, an interesting title. But in there, I met a lot of good people, the ones who were searching. And then I met a lot of people who were just angry, and they had found that they had been lied to, but they were not searching for the truth. They just wanted to be angry. And I really didn't understand it. I expected that I would come into this group and there would be these people who, yeah, they found the lie, but they trying to search for the truth. But there was a group in that group, a group within that group, that it was like they had lost their soul. And let me say this again, because I have to have compassion for both sides. Okay. When you're talking about atheists, again, I said, when I shut Source off, I felt alone. It was a very dark place. All right. Dark. And if you're in that place and you're not searching to get out, the only thing you're going to find is anger. The only thing you're going to be is someone who is, what is the word? Just doesn't believe that anything can happen that's good for you. You're going to have a hard time uplifting yourself. And a lot of negative energies are going to come at you. And then you're going to be in a victim state over here as an atheist. Or just, it's not even as an atheist, because it's not about them being an atheist. The deal was that they had cut Source off. And in doing so, they were in a dark place and they didn't try to come out of it. All right. It's like they were afraid. So I'm going to go into these videos because I want to bring up some things. I just wanted to preface some of the things that I had gone through and how I had dealt with both atheists and Christians. Now, when I was dealing with these atheists in this group, what they did a lot of times, they would find Christians and attack them. And they would have the same, argument. Oh, well, this, and this. And they would have, and it would be just a regurgitated argument. But they weren't trying to listen to the Christian, not that the Christian knew either, because the Christian would be saying things, well, it's in the Bible. The Bible said right here, but it's like that you're using the Bible to prove something. And here's the deal. If you're truly looking for the truth, you got to come outside of that. Because if this is the truth, then everything outside of it will prove it. Now, I'm going to go back to this because somebody's saying, well, you said everything kept leading you to the Bible. It did. It did. And so when it comes, let me go through this because I'm going to talk about the Bible and what I found and when I was reintroduced to the Bible, because I had to be reintroduced not only to the Bible, but to God and what God really is. And I'm going to tell you what happened because that was a pivotal point in my life. But as I'm going through this, and again, I'm in this atheist group, all of this information is coming to me, and I knew about COVID before it happened. I knew about all of these things and them shutting down the borders and things that nobody was listening to. I understood that the United States corporation had this energy on it that it had created with all of the negative things it was doing across this planet, and it was coming back. And for me, I had more fear of staying here in this land that we know of as the United States than I did of going off to another land that I don't know by myself. So what I didn't recognize is that this was another part of my spiritual journey, because the whole time in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, why am I here? What's holding me back here? All right. I don't have any, I can leave, I can go to another place. And that's what I did. All right. So when I decided, and again, I told you guys about bricks and how I had found bricks. But again, as I'm going through this, I'm constantly learning. And I had so much knowledge, but no answers. I had all of this knowledge, but no answers. And I was like, I'm not reading that Bible, even though everything I'm studying kept leading me back to the Bible. Okay. So I decide, okay, I'm going to leave the country. But in the meantime, I'm in this group. And again, these people over here, these people who are in their very, very dark place, it became more difficult for me to be in this group because I'm wanting to search. And all the people who were agnostic and they were searching and they were looking for answers, they had left. And it was only these people left. And it was like, it's time for me to go. Not only did I leave that group, but I left the country. Okay. So before I left the country, something happened whereby my mom decided she wants to plan a family reunion. Okay. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. I ain't coming. Because I knew when I left the country, I wasn't coming back. I bought a one-way ticket, and that was to Brazil. And that's where I was going to live until I felt like I wanted to go somewhere else. And that's exactly what I did. But I was like, I'll come to the little planning. She had a planning party for the family reunion. And my cousin happened to be there, who I hadn't seen in a long time. I had heard little things about her religion and all this, and that she had decided to be in some religion, and the family had issues with her religion. And I really didn't care because I didn't like their religion either. But come to find out, she starts talking to me about the Bible. And let me tell you how it happened. We were sitting and watching television in my uncle's den. And on the television, something came up about China and China and Russia and the United States, because that was when, some kind of way Hillary Clinton was all in something. I was like, yeah, China and Russia get ready to kick off in the United States butt, and that's why I'm ready to get up out of here. All right. So she says, yeah, well, that's in the Bible. And it was at that time that I said to her, show me. Show me. She couldn't have said that 3 months earlier. She couldn't have said that to me, and I say, show me. Because as she said that 3 months earlier, I would have knocked it out. But the Bible, as a matter of fact, I was having a conversation with one of the agnostic guys in the atheist group. And he was known as one of the more intelligent guys in the group. And so we're having this conversation. And at this time, I'm in my lower vibratory frequency. I'm angry as all get out. And I'm feeling like a victim. And these people doing this and these people doing that. And what makes them think they got the right? And then he starts talking to me and he says, something about the Bible. The Bible got some keys in it. And I paused. I was like, wait a minute. I had to scroll back up. I was like, wait a minute, what group am I in? Is this the anti-religious chat room? And then I'm like, okay, it's the right room. And then this guy's talking about, yeah, well, the Bible got clues in it. And I'm like, dude, I thought we was having an intelligent conversation. Why would you bring up the Bible? He's like, listen, I'm not saying that it's all correct, but it's got some keys in there is what I'm trying to tell you. Once again, this is in an anti-religious group. All right. So he's trying to let me know, look, there's some things in there that you need to read. I was like, look, that's great. I'm not trying to read that book. I'm out. So I didn't want to have any more conversation with him about that. And but the more studying I did, the more it kept leading me back to the Bible. Okay, fast forward back to my cousin. And we're sitting here having this conversation. She says it's in the Bible. And I said, show me. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to show you. So she pulls out a Bible and we start going through it. She said, look, I'm going to point you to this first. And she starts telling me about, she says that the United States is in the Bible and that it talks about how China and Russia would be countries that sent missiles to the United States. All right. And so she shows me in there. She talks about how it pointed out the colors of the flag in the Bible. And so I'm fascinated. And then she took me to this other passage where it said, and I'm telling you what it said. It said, now, this is what I heard as a person being reintroduced to the Bible. She said, the Bible says, this is my own words. All those who pillage my people will perish. And I will be back to avenge my people. Something to that. I'm paraphrasing. But in this Bible, it's talking about a people. I'm like, hold on. Who is this talking? And who is they people? And she said, oh, you didn't know? Listen, the Bible is about us, is what she said. But basically, she's saying it's melanated people. Those people in there were melanated people who God was saying was his people. Now, first of all, I was like, wait a minute, this supposed to be God? I thought God loved everybody. What's all this about, God loving everybody? Because, like I'm upset about the children in China. And she's like, listen, you got to understand that all melanated people are not the same people. All right. She says they had something to do with the melanated people being enslaved. She's like, yeah, you think you from Africa, you're not from Africa. And this book is talking about you or melanated, us. This not got nothing to do with Albion people. All these people in here, she showed the 12 tribes, Gad and Levi and all them. She Judah. She's saying these are all melanated people. And so religion has told us that these people are Albion. And so we don't recognize what the book really is. Okay, so she goes on. So the fact that this is a God that's saying, I'm going to kick some butt. This God is angry. I'm like, where does God come from? What happened to the other God? The God that love and love everybody. I forgive you of your sins. What happened to that God? I didn't know anything about this God in the Old Testament. Okay, so we go on and she pulls out Deuteronomy and talking about the curses and how you can tell who the people are. She goes on to another chapter that's talking about well, y'all know what's the two of them name? Jacob and Esau. And she's saying that Esau is the so-called Albion and so-called white man. And that she shows me passages where this God is saying, I can't stand them people. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I never heard any of this while I was in church. And again, I grew up in the church. I never knew anything about, who these people of the Bible were. So she's telling me all of this, and it lifted a whole bunch of stuff. And then I realized I got to read the book for myself. I can't listen to somebody else tell me about what's in the book. And I had listened to a lot of stuff about what's in the Bible because I wasn't going to read it. All right. But now I realize I got to read the book. And so I went into that whole reading the whole Bible. And then it was like, okay, I need to read the left out books. And the book of Jasher is one of my favorite books to this day. Because it really goes deeper into it. And then I'm loving the book of Enoch. The book of Enki as one of my favorites. I talk to you all about those all the time because they really go into detail where you can go and see facts when you research. You can see how I talk to you all about the book of Enki. Go read it. Because then it answers a lot of questions. This whole thing, all these questions about, Noah's Ark didn't make no sense because he got chickens. And if it was black men on there and they had chickens, they would have been eating. The black man would go eat. No, look. When you go and read the book of Enki, all of that stuff is explained. The whole rib story is explained. All right. And I've gone over that myself. When we're talking about, a whole bunch of different things that are in the Bible that are not explained, when you study outside of the book, all right, then a whole bunch of things are explained. Okay, so we in this now. Now I'm reading this Bible, and the more I'm reading it, the more I'm saying, well, how do it know? Now, when it comes to eating, I had always said, I need to let go of the meats. That was for health reasons, but I knew that was in the Bible too. And I was like, how do they know about, that's another thing, dietary law. When I got into studying health and making sure my body is in order, it led me back to the Bible. Okay, so the more I read it, the more I recognized that even though there were things in there that I didn't agree with, I had to temper my disdain for it and have some respect, even though it's like, that don't sound right. I had to temper that until I did some research. And once I would go and do my research, it was like, okay, all right. Okay, for example, all this, grow your own foods. These are laws. There are laws in there that I read. It was like, grow your own food. And I start to recognize why you don't get tattoos and don't wear certain type of clothing. And so I do research on it. When I see this in it, and it's like, let me say this. When I say I do research, it really wasn't like I'm a targeted research. I would just see it and it's like, man, please. And then the next thing you know, the Spirit sent me some information like, check this out, Diva. And then that would take me back to that particular passage in the Bible. All right. So meta revelation reflies. Say it in English and then we can talk. All right. If you don't say it in English, we ain't talking about it. All right. So, Any rate, what ended up happening is, again, I'm just finding that there's a lot of truth in the Bible, then there's also a lot of lies in the Bible. So let me go into this part, okay? As I continued to study, I started to find out about things that were not told to us. For example, matriarchy. We should have been told about that. For example, parthenogenesis, what that really is. They hinting around at it when they say, oh, virgin birth. Well, that's parthenogenesis. Why they not really telling us what it is? All kind of things that the scriptures were written by women. Even the Jesus character, there's a lot of, when you do your research, again, when we're talking about the Bible, people want to say it's the perfect word of God. Here's the issue with that. We can show you proof that it's not. And I've shown that several times. And so the deal is, I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. My statement on this Christianity versus atheist is that what I found is when you lean too far to either side, you're going to find yourself off balance. You have to be searching for truth. So I say this because, there's this whole thing where, atheists and Christians and the atheists, like these people don't know, they brain dead, they got a sickness and an illness, and then the Christians over here saying, oh, these are arrogant people, there's a fight. Well, one of the things that I noticed is that the issue is both of them are trying to convince and sway the other. That's the problem. When you're on a campaign to convince somebody, then really, are you really believing in what you believe in? Do you have love? Because here's the thing for me. I'm not concerned with what your religion is. What I'm concerned with, the only thing that I'm here to do is help you get back to source. All right. And help you find your peace. The other thing that I do is I speak on the universal laws, because what I found is that regardless of what, even I've seen different dimensions, higher dimensions, macro dimensions, micro dimensions, and every being that I've seen on those dimensions has to come into account for these laws here. And so my whole deal is to introduce the laws, and then you can implement them if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. So one of the things that is big for me is just, I'm gonna just tell you what the facts are. That's it. I'm not here to do, well, you gotta believe. Not you. Do what you do. But I'm telling you about what these laws are. You don't have to believe in them. They are. They just are. They're unmutable. So this is my issue, is that, as I said previously, all right, the issue is that those who are in the secret societies, they learn this. They know of them as the 7 Hermetic principles. Why don't you know these laws? Everybody, if you knew these laws, then you would walk differently in this dimension. All right, especially in women too. You should know what the history is. And that's one of the big issues that I have with, it doesn't matter what religion it is, because one of the things that we know as a fact, and I'm just telling you what the facts are, you don't have to, it's not for me to sway you either way. But here's the fact. All religions are patriarchal. Patriarchal, meaning that's where the male took the scriptures of the woman, because those scriptures come from her. Those scriptures are so old, they cannot be dated. But that Bible, 325 AD, that's when man canonized and rewrote her scriptures. When you're in your secret society, they revere the woman. The woman is respected and upheld. But when you get into Christianity and Buddhism and Muslim and all that, the woman is supposed to be subservient and beneath. Where does that come from? Okay, I'm just telling you what the facts are. Don't believe me. Just look it up, because I'm not here to convince you. All right, so I want to get into this. I want to play a couple of of these videos, of these video clips, and I want to just have a quick discussion about what it is that I saw in these videos that stood out to me and made me feel the need to do this session. All right. All right. So let me adjust this, and I'm gonna show these videos. Okay. So one of the first ones I want to show is this is Ayan. All right. Her name is Ayan Hirsi Ali. Okay, and she was originally a Muslim of the Muslim faith, and then she became atheist, and then she was reintroduced to Christianity, or let me rephrase that: she was introduced to Christianity, and she's talking about that here. So let's go into this. All right, so I'm gonna start this at 8:32. All right, and once again, shout outs to buy the book. We're gonna put the the link so that you can see the full video. Okay, so let me skip through this. All right, and then we're gonna play this. Okay, you said you can't hear it? Hold on for a second. I'm going to try to present this again. Share screen. Entire screen. All right. Let's see. All right, let me try this again. So here she's speaking on what she sees concerning Christianity. So let me back this up.
The teaching of Christ, as I see it, and again, I'm a brand new Christian, but what I'm finding out, which is
Let
the
me know.
opposite
Can
of
you hear
growing
that?
up as a Muslim, the message of Islam, the message of Christianity I get is that it's a message of love, it's a message of redemption, and it's a story of renewal and rebirth. And so Jesus dying and rising again, for me, symbolizes that story. And in a small way, I felt like I had died and I was reborn. And that story of redemption and rebirth, I think makes Christianity actually a very, very powerful story for the human condition and human existence, and the pain of suffering, but also our internal, the recognition of what you call sin, but perhaps the character defects, that both good and evil are there, but that both good and evil are in us. I think those teachings in Christianity are far more powerful and have led to, I think, the flourishing of Western civilization compared to, say, growing up as a Muslim, when I was taught that really the only way for you to be faithful is to fear, naked fear, and to have these sets of obligations which you basically obey. And that was very much about power, about it was centered around hellfire and all of these other things. And so,
okay, so she's explaining about how, once again, she was Muslim, and then, you know, being Muslim, everything was centered around, you know, hell and damnation, and then she's saying Christianity is more based on love. Now, Christianity has some of that in it too, and she again admitted she is uh, a new Christian. Hello, Copper Goddess, welcome. All right, so but yeah, she's a new Christian, and so her whole thing is she's saying Christianity is about love or what have you. Let me go to another clip here if I can get. I know I'm going to have some commercials, so let me see if I can find it real quick. But so here's I'm going to get into some things that I found when it comes to the difference between Christians and atheists. And so this topic tonight is, once again, Christians versus atheists, and what some of the differences are that I have seen. So here is Ayan Siri. Ayan, I'm just calling her Ayan so that I don't mispronounce the last name. But here she is speaking about her experience when she was an atheist and what she's experiencing now as a Christian. So I want to go into this one here where she talks about what she believes in and why. And I want to make a point about this whole thing, what she says. All right. She says she's asking
in those truth claims, in the resurrection of Jesus.
I totally choose to believe in the resurrection, yeah. And also the story itself and what it tells us. A God who died for our sins so that we are forgiven. It's extraordinary. It's such a beautiful and amazing story.
All right. So here she's talking about how she chooses to believe. And my thing is, you know, when it comes to Christians, I'm going to tell you what I found, and she's going to talk about this too. When I was trying to give people the information about the things that I was finding in my research and that we weren't being told, I found neither side listened. Christians couldn't hear me. Atheists couldn't hear me either. But what I found was that a Christian was, they were more kind-hearted, if you will. Even as much as they were, for me, I felt asleep and not hearing and not willing to study, just like these atheists. The atheists would be the one that'll curse you out because they were really unhappy and they were sad. The thing about the Christian is that in their faith, it brings them a sense of peace. All right. And that is very important. And that's one of the things that my atheist people, they didn't have. They just, again, it's a dark place. Now, I need to go back into something before I move out of this. After my cousin reintroduced me to the Bible, and she helped me to understand what this God is, I developed a new relationship with God. It was different now. It wasn't that same old, well, you know, everybody is, that's when I really started to learn about these laws and the fact that when you put out energies, they have to return. I wasn't getting that. I wasn't understanding when and my cousin had to tell me, the one who reintroduced me to the Bible, she had to say to me, listen, when they're getting this energy, you're looking at the Africans and they're, you know, hungry or whatever, they're going through whatever they're going through, that's not happenstance, is what she told me. And she let me know that it has to do with the energies that they had put out at another time. She was like, you got to understand, you want to go out and help them. It's not for you to help them. there's something else that's going on the spiritual level, and she had to explain it to me. That's when I started learning about the laws, the universal laws, and how this universe really works, and what a God really is, and the fact that we are the ones who are controlling whatever is showing up in our dimension. All right. Going into this, I want to go into this clip where she's talking about here. I'm going to go into this first clip, this 5:30. Okay, and let's take a look at what she's saying here.
Doesn't exist. They have to be closed-minded, because when they examine the evidence, they claim to be analytical, they claim to be logical, they claim to be evidence-based. But when you examine the evidence, when you examine nature, Romans 1, all of the evidence for Christianity, you will be convinced. Think about these.
All right. So here's this is the guy, this is his channel, By the Book Ministries. Here's my issue with how he's going at the atheists. Now, he wants to make it seem as though the atheists are closed-minded, and they are. They don't do research and they don't listen. The same thing goes for Christians as well. They don't listen. They are stuck, steadfast in something that they were taught. He wants to say that they have proof of certain things, when they don't. The only proof they say is, here's the Bible, it says this. But then again, I'm not going into that, because again, I'm not here to convince. Here's what I'm seeing. The issue is that everybody is trying to convince each other. You can't convince anybody. They have to be willing and wanting to see. They have to want to be led out of whatever they're in. And so my deal is that when I'm looking at him, he's claiming to be a Christian, and all them, they so arrogant. And then everything he's saying is coming off as lack of compassion, lack of love. Like somebody who just wants to convince you, come over to my side. Our side is the best. Well, who says Christianity is better than Buddhism or better than Islam? Who's right? My whole thing is, when you're leaning too far to either side, because all of them are lying, it's all a group thing. You got to get the spirit, you got to get the source. And if you don't want to get to source, then that's fine. Go to one group. But this, you know what this reminds me of? This whole thing where people want to come off from under the United States, but then they want to all rush over here to the Moor side. And then they're not understanding that if you don't have knowledge, you're going to be just as victimized and devoured over here as you were over here under the United States. You have to have knowledge of self. And these religious organizations are not teaching you knowledge of self. Listen, you don't have to, but if you choose to search for the facts, you're going to find them. And then you're going to find source along with that. I want to get into this real quick, because the thing about, she talks about, Ayad talks about prayer. All right. And there's things that religion has shown us that are real, very real, but we don't understand the basis of it, and we should. So I'm going to go into this where Ayan talks about how she got into Christianity. Okay.
Like the woman who told me, well, you've tried everything and you've lost hope, you've lost faith. Try it, pray. I think just in that one word, there is so much wisdom, and that it's, I am stuttering and I'm staggering to say, I'm just trying to say, no, it's not stupid. It's
Okay.
in fact, it's clever.
Okay, so she talks about how she was going through a tough time and she had lost everything, and so she goes to this woman, and this woman tells her to pray, and she says that in prayer is very powerful. Absolutely, absolutely. That is a focusing of your energies. All right, that is where, you know, and again, this has been proven in scientific documentaries. The ancients used to do this. Again, everything starts from the spirit, from the source. And so when you're talking about prayer, and again, in our sessions this season, we're talking about currency and how you are the currency. When you're talking about money, that's just a currency. But when you are praying, you are literally focusing your energies to manifest things. All right. And I've heard people have issues with the term manifest. Well, manifest is okay, whatever. You're bringing things into this third dimension by focusing your energies. And prayer is very much powerful. But the thing is, somebody's using your energies in a negative way. So when we're talking about churches, and you look at churches, whether it be, especially your Christian churches, why is it that they're sitting in the most poverty-stricken place, and while they are fabulous and they are well kept, everything around them is dying and desolate, and there's famine? And why is that? You can't tell me that this thing that is so great, that is sitting in the middle of this, can't nourish everything around it. That's not what these churches are doing. And somebody needs to step back and take a look at, well, wait a minute. Why is that? That's telling you that something is sucking the resources of the whole community. All right. Tiffany said, I love the information you provide. I have a flight and have to come back and watch. All right, Tiffany, thank you for the love. Copper Goddess, thank you for the love. Senior Center, welcome. Can anyone put the name of the movie up? Which movie? Are we talking about the video? Atheist mocks born again Christian about her faith, but response left the crowd cheering. All right, but this is By the Book Ministries. You can find this. Thank you all for joining. I want to thank all my TikTok people. Thank you for the love. Organic, Henry, Oron. Thank you so much for the love. Positivity. Thank you. All right. So now, just getting on this again, when we're talking about prayer, prayer is very powerful. There's another thing that she's going to talk about. Let me go to this. Let me go to this other one where this this guy's channel. He's the commentator of the channel. Let me go to what he's saying here, and let's take a look at what he said.
Humanity is born in sin and has to be cured of sin by Jesus being crucified, Jesus being punished for all our sins. And that is a morally very unpleasant idea. I'm sure you must agree about that.
I find that Christianity is actually obsessed with love, and that the figure, the teachings of Christ, as I see it, and again, I'm a brand new Christian, but what I'm finding out, which is the opposite of growing up as a Muslim, the message of Islam, but the message of Christianity I get is that it's a message of love, it's a message of redemption.
All right, so he has an issue with the whole idea and notion of we're all born of sin. Christians have an issue with the idea and notion of we're all born of sin. All right, let's be clear on that, because when they hear it, they want to flip flop. It's like, well, no, because the baby is innocent. Okay, but again, this is my issue with not having an understanding of the spiritual side and the underlying the underlying principles of this dimension. Not having that understanding, whether you be atheist or Christian, you're going to miss the understanding of what's going on in this third dimension when we're talking about children. So him and atheists and Christians and everybody else, when you see a child, oh, it's innocent, it just can't. But then the Bible has told you, and I can say this to a Christian and they want to say, well, no, I don't think. What you said you believe in this book. You said you're a Christian. Well, then why is it you telling me you don't understand born of sin? Well, what that's saying is, if you're showing up in this dimension, all right, you are a spiritual entity. All right, and there are things that you have to learn, which is why you're here in this dimension. So when you reincarnate, oh, I don't believe in reincarnation, because science proves that. Okay, your Bible talks about it. But then when we start speaking on these things, everybody want to act like it's mystical or mythological when it can be proven with science and historical documentation and all kind of other documentation. I won't go into that. But again, what we're talking about here is being willing to study. What they say, study and show yourself approved. I get it. Again, I say, when I talk about the Bible, it's very, very powerful. It is a powerful tool. But there are still lies in it. And if you choose not to study, then you're going to be over here leaning this side. And then you're not going to get the answers that you're really looking for. You're going to be misled. You're going to be misled. So the only thing that I'm saying is get with source, because source is going to guide you on your particular path. Whatever your path is supposed to be, source is going to guide you. But when you're talking about religion, here's the thing. Let me say this too. You know, when you're talking about churches, really a church is like a hospital. You know, who goes to hospitals? Sick people. And if you're going to a church to really find somebody who's spiritually intact, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time because you're going into a hospital for spirits or people who are spiritually ill. And again, I'm not saying anything wrong with the church, but again, I told you, take a look around the church. Is it prospering around the church, or do you see drugs and evidence of drugs and poverty? And is the neighborhood kept up? If it's not, you got to ask yourself, why is this church that's supposed to be making everything beautiful and of God and of abundance draining all of the resources in the community? Okay, we got to be willing to just study, because not knowing the truth behind, the spiritual aspects of what's going on, it makes you end up being or watching somebody outside of you instead of going to within you and finding true answers. Okay. Let me go to, all right, hold on, ma'am. To define her ideas of Christianity, I just want to make sure I get these things in here. Now, here's my issue with the host of this site is that, again, everything he's doing, he's just hating. Like he called himself, they are arrogant. Watch this. Hold on. Let me play this part. Hold on. Let me pull this up, and we're going to get into this. She's asked a question.
Inside.
More close-mindedness comes from the atheist side, and more certainty. Again, not for every atheist, but definitely if you take atheism and you turn it into an activist position, because then you're selling something. And that's what is, I mean, it's blinding, isn't it? You become so confident. And I think even a little more than confidence, there's an element of arrogance. In this is it. There's really nothing more to know or learn or find out. We have it. There's nothing.
I mean, people.
So I'll say this. I ran into that as well. Once again, when I told you I was in that atheist group, I couldn't talk to these people. It's like, oh no, that's it. They lied. It's like, but, okay, I get it. We know they lied, but are you searching for the truth? All this information that's coming into this group, are you even looking at any of it? No, because that ain't real. They just lied. That's all I know. And they were just stuck in this very negative, sad, and dark place. So I understand what she's saying. And when somebody's in that place, it's very difficult to even do business with them or have any kind of conversation with them because they're not willing to hear. Okay. Let me get on this, and then we're going to wrap this up. If you have any comments, thank you for your comments and your thoughts. I really do appreciate it. If you have any comments or questions, I want you to put them in the comment section before I get out of here. Let me go on this one. All right.
I was walking with 6 to 7 men at any given time, protecting me armed from things that I said that were offensive to Muslims, or Muslims thought were offensive to them. Christians were writing me letters saying, you know, we're going to pray for you, you're misguided. And I think that alone defines for me the distinction between Christianity in general, mainstream Christianity and mainstream Islam.
He just showed us.
Okay, so what she said is basically that, you know, she had all these guys around her protecting her, but then you've got the Christians that are coming to her saying, you know, we're going to pray for you, you're misguided. And that's one of the things you can appreciate. I could appreciate about Christians because, again, I told you when I was in that atheist group, they would find a Christian and their purpose was just to attack. And really they would have the same arguments. And then you'd have this Christian trying to have a conversation and, you know, you just getting the atheist throwing negative words and calling names and never really presenting a true point. So I understand what she's saying when, you know, she said, look, I get it, because all the Christians was talking about we're going to pray for you. Now, every Christian is not like that. Just like every atheist is not in a deep, dark place. Some of them are really searching and looking. So with all of that being said, I want to say this, okay? I've talked about the Bible and what it is. And it is a very powerful book. I talked about where it comes from. If you haven't studied and researched parthenogenesis and matriarchy and books outside of the Bible, I encourage you to do so. Why? Because there are things that we all have not been told. We should know what happened on this planet. Why do we not know that? Why do we not know where women come from? Why is it that we're being told that woman comes from a man when we can see proof that this is not even possible? But then when you go and read the left out books, it makes it clear that it didn't happen the way that this Bible is saying. Again, the Bible has a lot of truth and a lot of sound facts that come from the scriptures of the woman. But then there are a lot of lies in there. So one of the things that people don't understand is, okay, here you go. Hold up. Let me show this. Why we keep saying this Jesus? Why is Jesus look like this when we know full fact that all of those when we're talking about Levi and Judah and Gad and all these other tribes, those are melanated people. So why is it this guy who supposedly came from Judah, which is the most melanated group of the 12 tribes, how could he look like this? He's supposed to be my skin color or this guy's skin color. What's my point? Well, my point is the same way a group of people are changing the skin color of this being that supposedly came from a group of melanated people is the same way a group of men have written the woman out of her scriptures. And again, if you don't want to know facts, then I'm not talking to you. But for those of y'all who are really searching for truth because there's something about this Bible that's not resonating, I get it. Fine. First of all, be willing to ask questions. And then be willing to go within. Go within, because when you go within and you start talking to source, all kind of information is going to start popping up for you. If you want to know history, ask source. Source will tell you. Somebody has been lying to us. And the more you're willing to ask questions, the more you're going to find source. All right? So my whole deal, don't lean one way or the other. Just study and go within. And every question you have will have answers to find you. That's what happens with me. When I don't understand something, just like when I was reading the Bible, I'm like, God, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. The next thing you know, some kind of book is popping up in my lap or on the screen, or somebody's saying something over here and leading me back to the answer that I had questions for. All right. Let me see if I have any questions. I'm gonna get out of here. I want y'all to know I really do appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. This is our date. I told y'all I'm gonna start paying you attention. This is our date night. All right. No, the one you said you wash. Wash? What? Henry, what are you talking about? The one I said that I watch? Which movie? Let me see. What movie did I mention? Did I mention a movie tonight? No, I just mentioned books, didn't I? Or are you talking about which movie? What's the name of the movie? You got to tell me what movie you're talking about or what I said so that I can tell you which one I'm talking about. The only thing I remember mentioning about a movie is that some of the movies, did I mention the movie? Some of the movies will have information about true historical documentation and we aren't told about it. So I don't remember. Henry, tell me exactly what movie that I mentioned or what it was about so that I can tell you the name of it. And then I'll tell you where to find it and all that good stuff. Okay. So I want y'all to know, I really do appreciate you. One of the things before I get out of here that I'm finding again is that, people can't have a conversation about it is because they're trying to sway each other one way or the other. All right. For me, my whole deal is to present the facts. And if you want to know, then you're going to go and research it for yourself. It's not going to be the Diva told you, Diva led me, and Diva told me. Now, I'll tell you what the facts are. What the facts when it comes to prayer, when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to law, anything that I'm mentioning. And so y'all know, most of y'all know, I don't talk about my opinions. I don't care to put my opinions or beliefs into stuff. I just want to give you the facts so that you can go and find this for yourself. The only thing that I'm speaking are just what my research shows from what I've seen, what I've studied, what I've experienced, and what my clients and students show, okay? So that I can help you find whatever answers you're looking for, all right? When it comes to religion, I already told you how I feel about that. All religions are patriarchal, and they were created for the purpose of subjugating the woman. You don't have to believe that. Just go do your research. So when you understand that and you really want to start learning what truly happened in history, who you are as a woman, a melanated person, an albion, or whatever, when you're ready to really look into that, then we could talk. All right. But let me see if Henry hit me back up. I messed up, Henry. Henry, send me the question real quick before I get out of here. Which video? Because I made a mistake and hit I hit the button, Henry, so I don't know what happened before. Oh, shoot, I just did it again. It's hard to work this. The movie you said that shocked you into be the movie I said that shocked me. Okay, hold on for a second. The movie that I said shocked me. Which one shocked me? I don't know. I remember saying a movie shocked me. Hold on, I'm trying to go back in my mind. I don't remember. If I figure it out, I'll send it. I'll send you an inbox, Henry. Who is that? Henry A369. The truth. That's right. You are the truth. Making sure I said everything that I need to say. Let's see something. Okay. Good. We good. All right. I went through everything. Good. I want y'all to know I love you. I appreciate you, Diva Lyri. We're going to see you on maybe Sunday. All right. I might have a special session on Sunday. I love you. I'm out. Give me a hug, y'all. Bye-bye.